Hello again. As I said in the previous chapter, this time we will learn some techniques on lights. Many people say that they have the biggest problem with creating convincing and real-looking lights. Well, the devil sticks in details, says an old saying, and that is 100% true. If you want to create realistic lights, you have to make as many details as possible. There are no way to create good lights using only textures, so in my opinion, the most important is to create a complex model. Of course, you have to create good materials too. For example, bump maps on glass surfaces. But let's get back to modeling. First, I will show you how to build glass for lights, because many people have problem with creating glass fittings to the rest of the body. Next, I'll show you a fast way to create some car reflectors, which should be universal to all your car light models. Unfortunately, all car lights are different, so you need to have as many reference photos that will show you the shape of the inside of the lights. In our case, the light shapes will be simple, so I'll show you how to create a glass surface on one of my models. It's a good time to show you how to merge objects to our scene. I advise you to make some object libraries that will have some models like tires, wipers, registrations, etc. You will be able to detail your car fast and easy using these already made objects. To put them into a new scene, you will have to use the merge options. Now let's get down to business. First, I'll hide all the objects in the scene since we don't need them right now. You can find the merge option under the file menu. When you choose it, you will be asked to select the proper scene. In my case, it will be a group. Okay, that's all. Now you have got new objects merged into a scene. As you can see, it's the front part of a car. I'll use it to show you how to build glass for lights. Usually the worst is the correct composition to the body, but using my method you will have no problems doing it. First, we have to select all the polygons in the objects that will be the outlines of our glass. Okay, the first is made. Now the next. The best method is that we already have got the shape of the light, so we don't need to waste the time for positioning the vertexes or polygons. As you probably noticed, I always try to build my object using models that have been made before, because it saves time and allows me to make my models faster and more precise. Okay, the outlines are finished, so now I have to attach them and then weld the vertex to reduce small holes. As you probably remember, we had to do the same when we were doing the window seals, but with this small difference here is that you will rebuild the whole surface between outlines. Well, I can give you a little tip. When you model the hood and front bumper, try to keep equal number of segments on both models. This will help you a lot when creating lights or the grille. Okay, a few more vertexes and we can start creating the surface. Okay, the fastest way to build it is to connect both sides and then add new segments on the created surface. Okay, now I have to add 2 horizontal edges, so we'll have to correct the number of segments. Okay, I will move these new vertexes to position them on the same line that the old vertex is, so I'll be able to weld them. Well, as I can see, there could be some problems with the geometry in the upper right corner, because there are many segments, but we'll try to think something up. I have to say that sometimes I intentionally make some differences between my CG glass surface and original objects. I like to make them more bulging because this is much more effective. For example, it gives a beautiful reflection. Okay, so now I only have to build the geometry in this ugly corner. I'll probably create some 3-sided polygons and we will see if they will be okay. If there is a problem, I will rebuild the geometry. In previous lessons, I cautioned you against not having all 4-sided polygons, but sometimes there is no way to use 4-sided ones, so we only have to check if the smooth version is correct. If it is, we can leave the geometry, because only the effect is important. Okay, I think the geometry is alright. There will be only one 3-sided polygon, and probably it will be smoothed correctly. Okay, that's all. Maybe I will correct the vertex position a little to make the surface more bulging. Okay, when the surface is finished, I can delete those outlining polygons. Excellent. Now let's see how it looks with NURM subdivision. Well, it looks great. So the three-sided polygon did not destroy the geometry. And of course, always with a glass surface, we have to use the shell modifier to add thickness. Oh, I have to turn NURMS off. Now it is good. So I can convert the model to poly. This way we create a good piece of glass. Of course, the rest of the light depends on the car model, but I'll show you how to easily create a convincing reflector. Well, I don't need all the objects in the scene, so I'll hide them except the main body. Because our car is quite old, the whole light includes only one reflector placed here, so it will be quite easy and fast to do. We'll create this reflector using a basic sphere. I think 16 segments is enough, so I'm going to go ahead and convert it to poly. First, I'll delete half of the sphere to gain a hemisphere, and of course, I have to flip all of the polygons because I need them from the inside. Okay, now I can start and edit to build a reflector. I have to simulate some thickness of the object, so I'm going to go ahead and copy these edges a little with scaling them at the same time. And next, I will copy them back. I don't have to make the back of the reflector because it won't be seen. Now I have to select all the horizontal edges inside of the reflector and almost all vertical ones too. Now I will chamfer them a little bit. When I increase the level of NURM subdivision, I will have a nice round shape of the reflector, but with an angular surface inside. This will give us a spectacular lighting effect, so our light will look amazing even from a near distance. Okay, now it's time for positioning the reflector in the correct place and scaling it to fit the body. Usually in my models, I create a complex interior light that includes 2 or 3 reflectors, but in this case, I need only one big one. It's a simple object, but because of this angular surface inside and bump map that will be assigned to the glass, I will gain a nice and effective reflection, so everything will look great. Okay, now only move it closer to the front of the car. Oh, maybe a little bit too much. Okay. That's going to be good. Now I'll create a simple sphere inside the reflector. The lights will have more specularity because it will be interacting with the surface of the reflector. Okay, now it's time for the glass. I will create it from a cylinder. It will be a simple object so I can easily edit a basic cylinder. I have to move it in front of the reflector to see it in the front view. I think we can keep all the standard parameters and convert it to a poly. First, I will create some segments on the front and back side, and then I will edit them to gain a bulging shape. And I think 4 segments should be enough. So now I just have to profile the shape. Okay, now when the shape is correct, I can attribute smoothing groups. I have to select all polygons on the rim and apply them to different groups than to other polygons. To select all other polygons, we can use the Select Invert tool. Now when smoothing groups are set up, I can apply NURM subdivision, of course with smoothing groups selected. Now I have to position the glass closer to the reflector and scale it a little bit. Maybe I will change the color to better see it. Okay, now everything is correct. Our light is very simple, but I'm perfectly sure that it will be as spectacular on the final image. In a few moments, I'm going to go ahead and give you a tip to help you create a better glass surface for your lights. To create a nice surface for the glass, you should use checker in the bump slot on the glass material. This is perfect and a fast way to create some roughness on the surface. Just look by editing those tiling parameters, you can edit the checker density. When you want to have a lot of small holes on the surface, just increase the tiling. When you want to have less holes, but they should be bigger, just decrease it. It's just that simple. In this chapter, I have shown you a few tips that should help you a lot in creating car lights. Remember, the most important are the details. If you model them and make it good with the materials, your lights will be perfect.